and welcome to the bonus Christmas episode of Velvet Owl Watches Movies So You Don't Have To. Will I have this done in time for Christmas? I don't know. I'm going to try. I wasn't planning on a bonus episode, so I'm going to work to the wire. But I should hopefully, because for my birthday, my wife got me a microphone that I can use to record directly into the computer, which will save me several steps from what I was doing with this podcast before, recording it on my phone. Which, now that I think about it, I probably could have been recording directly into the computer, but who knows, because I didn't have a microphone, so it probably would have been just pure crap. As opposed to now, which probably still sounds like pure crap. Anyhow, the reason I am doing this super bonus episode is because I do not want to wait for next year's Christmas to do this, because I will probably forget it. But in my previous episode, Karate Christmas Miracle, which was fan-fucking-tastic, I found there is a follow-up film. And it's not really a sequel, I don't think, but it's like the same people involved making it. It's a wrestling Christmas Miracle, and that is fantastic. So it's the same kid. I don't know if it's his character going on from karate to wrestling now, but the description is: an 11-year-old wrestling champ makes the decision to leave the mat behind so he can make a Christmas movie to bring his best friend out of a coma. So much like, learning black belt in the karate movie, or earning a black belt, brought his dad home from being missing, here, making a movie's gonna get his friend out of a coma. Although I question his dedication, he has to stop wrestling. I'm sorry, have you heard of a little person named John Cena? He was making the Marine movies while being a full-time wrestler. And yeah, he's pretty much quit wrestling now. But for a good while, he was doing both. Kid, you could do both. You don't have to stop wrestling in order to make this movie. And I do want to mention one thing about the Karate Christmas Miracle movie, because afterwards is usually, I try to read absolutely nothing about these movies beforehand to go into it with as little knowledge as possible. But afterwards I read, apparently the Eric Roberts footage was just taken wholesale from a completely different movie. That is just fucking awesome. That is, I didn't realize they still do that. That is pure 1950s B film. We've got this footage, let's just reuse it. So I think it's fantastic. I mean, Silent Night, Deadly Night used half of the first Silent Night, Deadly Night, but that doesn't count because that's a sequel. I'm talking about, just completely different film whatsoever, and they just spliced it in. That's fantastic. So I am hoping that a wrestling Christmas Miracle is just as fucking off-the-wall bonkers as the Karate Christmas Miracle movie was. Oh my god, I am so excited watching through the credits. First off, Martin Cove, he got John Kreese back. John motherfucking Kreese. But, more importantly, so we've got Jimmy Walker, JJ Dynamite Walker, oh my god, Todd Bridges, Gary Coleman's older brother from Different Strokes, Michael Winslow, Jonesy from Police Academy, the guy with the sound effects, and best of all, Gilbert Gottfried, the fucking legend, the god himself, Gilbert fucking Gottfried, in this movie, which I imagine, really, the only thing you have to do to get Gilbert Gottfried to be in your film is to offer a paycheck. But I don't care! It's Gilbert fucking Gottfried! Oh my god, I am so excited. By the way, the name of the director, who also wrote the screenplay and did the cinematography and a couple other things, is Chris T. Anthony. But the way it's there when you see it, the Chris and the T, it's almost Christ. And I wonder if that's intentional. Is this a very, religious movie? Christ Anthony. That's what, the director is Christ Anthony, in my opinion. So we start off with footage of, the kid wrestling. And there's lots of blurred faces. So instead of, hiring extras, I think they just filmed, this kid actually in, wrestling matches. And just didn't even bother to have anyone sign a release. They're all, just, the kid and, his opponent. Because, you could probably get, the kid to easily, sign a release. But the people in the audience, they're yeah, let's not even bother. We're just gonna blur their face. And this is a story on him, I think. A puff interest piece from some reporter, and she's talking about how he's gotten 50 consecutive wins, and not only is he the best wrestler around, he's one of the best football players around, but, he likes football, but he's really all about the wrestling. But, all for naught because he has retired from wrestling. I don't know, is retired the correct word? He's just quitting wrestling because he's a quitter. So the reporter asks the kid, why are you quitting wrestling? Because, you're so fucking awesome at wrestling. Why would you stop? And the kid tells him, it's 40 days and 40 nights until Christmas. Jeez. Chris Anthony, could you make, the Jesus thing, even more obvious? So we're starting 40 days and 40 nights from Christmas. So the kid has to make a film. Which, now that I'm stopping and think about this, so he's got a little over a month. Is, the wrestling league, just the big competition is occurring in December and the end of November? Because can't you just take a break from wrestling and then come back after you make this film, the way Hulk Hogan or Roddy Piper would do? I don't know, maybe it is just the big championship is in December and he's like, no, I gotta make this movie for Christmas because his friend is in a coma, and if the kid can make a movie that will make his friend laugh, his friend will come out of the coma. Which I don't know which is more ridiculous, this plot or the Karate Christmas Miracle, where getting a black belt will bring his dad home. At least that one I could kind of see, because my theory was that the dad intentionally left home because he was disappointed in his son, and, winning a black belt would help bring his dad home, because his dad would be proud of him. Here, your friend's in a coma. You think, it's gonna get into his head, and, the jokes are gonna make him laugh. And if that's the case, you don't need to actually make a movie. Make a fucking comedy album or something. Because he's in a coma. He's not going to be able to see what's going on the screen. He's only going to be able to hear. So, a comedy album or a studio play or something. You don't have to go all the way with doing a movie. But his dad's going to help him make this movie. And now I think we're seeing the actual movie. So I don't know. We've already cut to the movies made? Because just the film stock is different. So I sense that this is the movie that the kid made that we're watching, especially since dad is now in a wheelchair and acting like an R word. I don't know. I don't want to use that word. They use it. He can't speak, and he's doing trying to do sign language, except it's really just you've got two brain cells and you're trying to do sign language. And John Kreese is there, he's playing a blind warden of the hospital who damaged the kid because he was trying to cure the kid's autism by cutting out his tongue. I'm sensing there were script problems from day one. And I'm not talking about the kid's film. Chris Anthony, you've had script problems. Yeah, I am so confused as to what's going on, but I guess dad in the wheelchair is a secret agent or an FBI agent, and he's talking to the other FBI agent. She's pretty hot. And hot FBI agent is doing the translation for wheelchair FBI agent. And I don't know, but then John Kreese is grabbing a CD or a DVD or something because he's gonna reveal things that the nurse, I think she's a nurse, has been up to. I don't know. This is just such weird levels of it's a bad movie within a bad movie. And the bad movie within the bad movie. I don't know if it's supposed to be intentionally bad. I hope that Chris Anthony actually thought that the movie within a movie here was good, because that would make it even more fantastic. Okay, the lady that I thought was a nurse, I don't know, she might be a nurse. She's a prisoner or patient. I don't know. Kind of both, I guess. And she's being sent to her room by Gilbert Gottfried! Gilbert Gottfried! I am so fucking excited! I'm so excited to hear me clapping, because that's how excited I am. He gives the story of how the FBI agent came to be in a wheelchair with no voice. And I think he just kind of made this up on his own. It feels like complete Gilbert Gottfried improv. And I can't even do it justice. So, and then stop, because I don't know if that's the end of the film or just the kid has paused. Because apparently, yeah, the film's already made. Dad's wondering why there's some beeping in there, and apparently Gilbert Gottfried went off script and started swearing. Which, is just a risk you go through when you hire Gilbert Gottfried to do your film. He's gonna improv and swear. And you just go with it, because it's Gilbert Gottfried. And so, apparently the film's already made. It's now 5 days till Christmas. They just completely cut over, the part I would love to see about this film, which is the making of his film. How did this all like come together within 35 days? Like, he wrote the script, hired actors, directed it, edited it. Wow, this is in 35 days. And there's some argument among his parents and his uncle over who should get how much credit for what. But, you know, the kid's just focused on the fact that when his friend watches this movie from his coma, his friend's gonna wake up laughing. And his mom's trying to, you know, tell him, like, you know, it might not work, but kid, he's truly, like, believes it'll happen. You know, had they made this a direct sequel to a Karate Christmas Miracle, then no one would doubt him. Like, well, you know, you did get your dad back by earning your black belt, so we believe you can do anything. Now, Dad's off because he's got to go take his annual trip to the Congo to fight an elephant, wrestle an elephant. You know, I guess I should differentiate. It's not just a fight with an elephant, it's a wrestle with an elephant. So the elephant, I guess, knows wrestling moves. Well, I mean, people wrestle bears and wrestle alligators, and that's kind of old hat at this point. He's gonna wrestle an elephant! Is it a baby elephant? I mean, you might stand a little tiny bit of a chance there if you're wrestling a baby elephant. Oh my god, please film, please include that scene. You're not going to, I know it, but oh, just the idea of him wrestling an elephant, it warms my heart. And so he's off, and kid's mom tells him, like, you know, okay, give the master tape and the DVD copies to your uncle, and he's gonna make more copies and keep everything safe. And the kid's kind of like, DVD? Because, you know, he's a fucking Generation Zer. He doesn't know what a DVD is. You know, it's all about streaming with the kids these days. I don't know, do they not know what DVDs are? I feel like you should still know. Like, DVDs are still, like, fairly prevalent. You can still buy them in stores. So it's not like, okay, I could understand if he doesn't know what a laser disc is. Yeah, that's, like, way before your time. DVDs are still out there. Maybe you should have told him Blu-ray copies. He would know that, right? I don't know. But, you know, the uncle's got the master, because they haven't made any copies yet. And I sense I know where this is going. Uncle's gonna lose the master tape, isn't he? And, you know, with 5 days away, they can't go and remake the movie, and you probably can't afford to bring Gilbert Gottfried in again to reshoot his scenes anyhow. Kid goes to visit his friend, who's not in the hospital, but at home, sleeping in his bed, because the hospital couldn't do anything more for him, and so they sent him home. I don't know if that's how it works out with coma patients. Like, after a while, do they just get sent home to lay in their bed? I feel like there needs to be more done, but, like, at the very least, like, if they send him home, like, the hospital equipment, like, to monitor his stats and all that, like, you know, they want to make sure, you know, his heart rate's okay, an IV to kind of keep feeding him, because he's in a coma and can't feed himself. So, you know, you need to get the nutrients to him. I don't know, maybe they just decided, fuck it, we're pulling the plug, and when he dies, he dies. Unless, you know, this Christmas movie makes him laugh and wakes up from his bed at home with no nurses or doctors around to, you know, do whatever there is when someone wakes up from a coma. Because I think there's, like, procedures and all that, aren't there? Like, you just don't leave a coma kid inside a regular bed with nothing. Sure, his mom's watching over him, but I don't think she's qualified to check for all the signals to make sure he's okay. Kid could be fucking dying, and you don't even know it. Because, I mean, I'm sure probably his health insurance won't pay for him to stay in the hospital. That's what it comes down to, I'm sure. Meanwhile, there's a pair of actors, one of whom was the psychic lady from Karate Christmas Miracle, so I'm excited because she's such a terrible actress. I can't wait to get more of her terrible actressness. And they were in the kids' film, but they're upset because, you know, their parts got cut down. And so they're going to grab revenge by stealing the Christmas presents from the kid's uncle, because they know that the kid's uncle's an idiot and leaves Christmas presents in the back of his car. And to further just make it perfect, he dresses up as the Grinch, like, full on, like, does the green makeup. And his girlfriend, she is, I guess, Cindy Lou. I don't know. Did you not watch The Grinch? The Grinch did not have accomplices. He had one accomplice, the dog. So she should be dressed up like the dog. But then again, she's a willing accomplice. The dog didn't really want to deal with stealing Christmas. But so they steal the presents from the back of the car. And you know what? I'm willing to bet that among those presents is the master tape for the movie. The sole master tape, because no one thought to, hey, let's make copies of this movie, because that's filmmaking 101. Of course, this kid didn't go to film school. He just fucking winged it and is like, I can make a film because I am fucking a wrestling champion. So the uncle tells mom about, oops, the presents were stolen, and also the movie, and oops, I forgot to make copies. Oh no. And so mom's like, well, we can't tell the kid about this because, it's his whole plan, so we're going to try to find the presents and, more importantly, find the film. So the evil actors who have stolen the film pop it in, and they're like, whoa, it's this film. Let's watch it. And there's, I don't know what happened, but the doctors are on trial for something, and Michael Winslow is the judge. And for some reason, the case is being held in the hospital itself instead of a courtroom. Probably because they could only afford to rent out a hospital and not the actual courtroom as well, so they have to cut down on the amount of sets that are available to them, so they have to set all the scenes in one place. That's a little trick for you low-budget filmmakers out there. If you can't afford to do a lot of sets, just set everything in the same place. And so, I'm waiting for him to do sound effects, but the guy watching the movie, he starts making sound effects when the judge is on, like, woo, 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 woo. Obviously a nod to Michael Winslow doing sound effects. And then the prosecutor is Todd Bridges, and the guy watching the film, he's like, what you talking about, Willis? I guess it takes different strokes. And Jimmy Walker's the defending attorney, and the guy watching the movie, he's like, dynamite! So the fact that he did the sound effects reference, the different strokes reference, and the dynamite reference means that fucking Michael Winslow, Todd Bridges, and Jimmy Walker are playing themselves in this film. This kid somehow managed to get them. He must be a fucking rich kid. Because again, getting them requires nothing more than offering a paycheck. So, I mean, it's not that amazing that you got them for your film, but you got them for your film. So, he's a rich kid. I guess, that's believable. It's not like he somehow got Tom Cruise to be in his film. He got fucking Jimmy Walker. I just like that Jimmy Walker, he's not using his real name, but, Jimmy Walker, Todd Bridges, and Michael Winslow are playing themselves playing in a movie within a movie. If that isn't confusing enough. So mom and uncle then tell the kid, bad news, your movie got stolen. But don't worry, we're going to call your dad to get him home and he'll be on the case. Because I'm not really sure what dad's going to do, I guess. Wrestle people. But, the kid says, no, we can't bother dad because, he's got to go wrestle that elephant. But you go take care of it, mom. And mom's like, you take care of it, uncle. Because, it is the uncle's fault because he didn't lock the door. Which, I will not completely 100% blame him for not locking the doors. Because you know what? If you're going to get broken into, you're going to get broken into. Do you want a broken window on top of getting robbed? It's, But then they get a call from someone with a bad accent they think might be Russian or German or something. And I guess the guy on the phone says that they're German. And he's got the film and he's willing to give it back, but they need to pay $1 million. And they don't bat an eye on the fact that it's $1 million because, they're fucking rich. Which, I mean, really, if you could afford Gilbert Gottfried, Michael Winslow, Todd Bridges, and Jimmy Walker to be in your film, $1 million probably isn't that much to you. You're like, okay, we'll just add it to expense and write it off come tax time. I mean, that's what I would do. If I was at the point where I could afford to make my own film, hire these B-level actors, and then pay $1 million in ransom. So, but Uncle's on the case. He is gonna get the film back. The kid goes to see his coma friend to explain the dilemma. I was trying to be funny. I know it's dilemma. Maybe I don't know how it's actually pronounced. Anyhow, he's explaining to his friend that, oops, the film's missing. Which kind of puts a damper on our plans of waking you up from a coma with this fucking hilarious film. But don't worry, they're gonna get the film back. Meanwhile, the evil actors are still watching the film when they get a call. Oh no. Or not oh no, oh yay. They're gonna screen the film in the private theater of Martin Keene. of Keen Entertainment. I don't know. I'm guessing he's a big shot. So they're excited because this is their big break. Considering that, most of their scenes got cut from the film, because that's the whole reason they're upset. I don't know how much it's going to help them. I mean, it's going to give the kid, like, a fucking big shot chance. Like, oh, an 11-year-old kid made a film in 35 days. I am signing him to a contract. And it's good to know that J.J. Walker is still out there getting films. Jimmy Walker is the one that's going to benefit the most from Martin Keen screening this film in his private theater. So Kid, Mom, and the uncle are in the bakery, and they're wondering, how these evil Germans even got their hands on the film. And it's got me wondering, why aren't they questioning also how the evil Germans got their hands on their phone number to know to call for ransom money? I don't know. I mean, it could be like in the end credits of the film, like, if you like this movie, dial 555-555555. So, I guess that might not necessarily be a big question. But they call again, this time using British accents. And luckily, despite being in a public bakery, they put the call on speakerphone, and the kid recognizes, hey, that's that shitty actor from the movie who was always trying to do stupid accents. He's an idiot. So this is a clue that they can use to hunt down the film. So Mom and Uncle, they're on stakeout in front of the house of the evil actors, because they figure, this will give them a leg up, the element of surprise. And they go, and there's no answer. No one's home. So they decide, let's leave a note, which would kind of defeat the purpose of the whole, like, try and get the element of surprise. I mean, I guess it could totally, like, fuck with their plans, and they'd be like, oh no, they're onto us. We gotta run to Mexico. But the evil actors are meeting with Martin Keen in his private theater to screen the film. And we get another scene from this film, which I fucking love, because it is so horrid. And it's the new inmate nurse who, I don't know, I don't even understand what's really going on. But she goes into a room, and there's a doctor who's smashing pies and watermelons with his mallet. Because apparently, this kid could get Michael Winslow, Gilbert Gottfried, Todd Bridges, and Jimmy Walker, but he could not get Gallagher. Which would have made this, like, très magnifique if they got Gallagher for this role. But Martin Keen, he just loves this film. But he's got to do a meeting with his partner and set up a screening with him to see if they can go ahead with it and distribute it. Because the evil actors, are pretending that they own the rights to the film. Which, if they're doing that, why are they trying to get ransom to give the film back? Wouldn't they want to hold on to the copy for themselves forever and ever? But, so Martin Keen calls his partner on the phone. But, twist, his partner is him. He's talking to himself in a funny Jewish accent. And then talks to his secretary and doing an old lady accent. And it's very bizarre. I think Martin Keen has, like, dissociative identity disorder. And I think he really thinks that there's other people that he's talking to. And it's really just him in his head. So, I don't know. I don't know how he's gotten to become, like, the top guy in entertainment. And now various people are listening to a radio broadcast about what's going down in the Congo. Shit is going down. Because Dad, after wrestling and beating the elephant, he also wrestled a giraffe and a rhino and beat them. And, damn it, movie. Couldn't you have done something? Some animation or something? Use puppets? I want to see that. You ruined the best part of the movie. But after beating all these animals, he takes on the president of the Congo. And, easily beats him because, once you've beaten, like, 3 wild, savage animals, although, I guess it's not just easy, because, you're weakened from fighting wild, savage animals, but he handily defeats the president of the Congo, and then a bunch of troops raid in, and apparently, I guess this was all, like, some secret plot to overthrow the government of the Congo through the use of a wrestler, and I don't know. I'm kind of confused, but I kind of also would rather watch that film. Like, that seems like it would be, like, a pretty cool film to watch. If nothing else, to see a guy wrestle an elephant, a giraffe, and a rhino. But instead, we get to watch this really bad movie that's gonna wake a kid up from a coma. Now, the evil actors, they go to the drop box, or drop spot, because the plan was to leave the money in a dumpster. Which is a very bad plan. Even if, it's, like, by a specific time. Did you at least, like, make sure the time was not when, like, they dumped the dumpster into the garbage truck? The problem with drop boxes is, like, if you're not, like, very super specific watching it, someone could just come by and accidentally steal the money. Like, oh, I just had to throw this out, but there's a bag of cash. I'm taking it. This is my lucky day. And they were not specifically watching the dumpster when the Dropbox time was supposed to be, because otherwise they would have known that the money wasn't there. They went looking through the garbage dumpster to make sure the money wasn't there. So they call up Mom and give her new plans, which is going to be tough because Mom can't actually get the money without her husband, and her husband's stuck in the Congo, which apparently she hasn't been watching the news and didn't know this until some other lady, I'm going to assume it's her sister or something, shows up and like, didn't you pay attention to the news? There's the big revolution in the Congo. But apparently everything's okay, and the wrestling match with the elephant is still on for the next night. Which I'm thankful, even though I thought the match would have already happened. But I'm glad that the people of the Congo are still going to get to see someone wrestle an elephant. And isn't that the true meaning of Christmas? Possibly. Now I'm thinking about this like Power Rangers episode where this robot like ends up in Africa. I forget which country, but like some poor impoverished country, and he learns the true meaning of Christmas, or he teaches the true meaning of Christmas to the natives. I don't know, but it was a fantastic episode. So the evil actors are waiting at the new drop spot, but again, no one shows. Because Mom, she's worried about her son, because he's not answering the phone, so she decides, well, he's probably over at his friend's house, coma friend, and he is there, and, they just then spend the rest of the night hanging out, and, the kid tells her that, like, you're like Superman to me, and blah, 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 and then the evil actors call, because they're mad, like, they still haven't gotten their money, and the mom's like, well, you have the copy of it, why don't you just distribute the movie, and make money off of it yourself, which is a good point, yeah, you'll get the money now, just $1 million, and you'll have it right away. But that's very short-sighted. And it makes me think of, like, with The Purge, everyone always goes for murder. Like, one night, all crime is legal, and everyone goes for murder, which is, okay, that's fun for the moment, but, dude, do insider trading. It's legal that night, and that is the gift that keeps on giving. You gotta think long-term with things like this. So, yeah, sell the movie, because it's going to be a hit. And, I mean, at the very least, you're going to get $1 million in distribution fees, seriously, if this movie is so good. I mean, it's got fucking Todd Bridges in it. How do you not make $1 million off of it? And, then you get residuals. Although, I guess, yeah, there's a lot of legal, like, ramifications and, like, a lot of red tape that you probably have to go through. But there is the positive that you won't go to jail. Just a thought. But so the evil actor gives her some new instructions on what to do for something to get the money to him. Now the mom's talking to her husband on the phone, or trying to. I think he called her, but all you can really hear on the other end is like just elephants and gunfire. Because there's the revolution going on. I guess it's still going on, and I don't know, did he call her and then got swept up in the revolution, or I wasn't really paying attention, so I don't know who called who. But, she's like spilling her guts about, she had to take money out of his account to hopefully get this film back, because how important it is to the kid, because his coma friend's going to listen to it. And I'm glad that she brought up the fact that the kid's going to listen to it and not watch the film, which again brings me to the whole point of why even bother making a film that he's not going to be able to watch, he's going to listen to, do a radio play. And that brings me up to, like, then another point now. Okay, you lost the film, but you still got the script, right? You didn't just delete the script or throw it out or whatever you do. Like, there has to be copies of the script. You know, there's only one copy of the movie, but there's got to be copies of the script for all the actors. So you don't even have to get all the same original actors. Just get people to read the fucking script, record it, and play that for your friend, and he'll wake up and it'll be a Christmas miracle. A wrestling Christmas miracle. Even though hasn't been much wrestling. Unlike at least the Karate Christmas Miracle, there was a lot of fucking karate in that. As the kid was learning karate, even though no one got kicked in the face. And no one's getting kicked in the face in this film either, and that makes me sad. And wow, what a sequence of events just happened. So, now it's time for the meetup spot, which is at the wrestling building place, where they wrestle. Some sort of gym. And so, you know, on one side you got the evil actors, the other side you've got Mom and the uncle, and, you know, they've brought the money. The evil actors have brought a box with the film, and so they're going to do the trade-off. When the evil actor spells the word bear, you know, not to the count of 3 or 5 or anything, he's going to spell the word bear. Except then there's an argument over, well, which bear is it? Is it bear like the animal, or bear as in, you know, our cupboard is bare? And no, seriously, this is like an actual argument that goes on for a little bit. You know, he had meant, you know, the animal bear, but I don't know if, like, he spelled bear. Like, does it really matter? Actually, it makes me now think of, like, when my son was in a spelling bee. Not him, but another kid had the word claws, but it was claws, C-L-A-U-S-E, and the kid spelled C-L-A-W-S, so he got eliminated, even though technically, you know, he spelled claws, and they had not specified which kind of claws it was, because he hadn't asked for it to be used in a word. So technically, and, you know, after, you know, discussions, they did let the kid get back into the contest, because technically he did spell claws, because he was never specified which kind of clause was the word. So that's kind of what's going on here. They have an argument over bear. But, you know, then they do the switch off, and, you know, they've got the money, but then Mom opens up the box and it's not the film, it's a sandwich. Sure. Go with a sandwich. That was your big plan to trick them. But now Mom's all like, oh, we're not letting you go with the money here because you didn't give us the film. And the evil actor pulls out a can of tennis balls, and he's like, these are explosives, and when the ball hits you, you'll explode into dust. Which, you would think, that just sounds stupid. Plus, if it's an explosive, they're in there right next to them, very fucking close. The explosion's gonna take them out too. You don't stop and think about that. Like, you actually think, like, the explosive tennis ball is gonna only explode you? You think technology is there, lady? She falls for it. But luckily, out of nowhere, it's Dad! In his wrestling gear. And he wrestles the evil actor down to the ground. And while he's holding the actor down, Mom and Uncle pull out guns. You had fucking guns this whole time? At the point where, like, he's threatening you with explosives, the two of you pull out guns like, you can only hit one of us with an explosive at a time, so you hit one of us, and the other one is gonna shoot you. And that's how you do a Mexican standoff. Not when the guy is wrestled down to the ground. But, plot twist, Uncle then turns the gun on Mom. The uncle was in on the plan, because he hates the dad. He's always been in their shadows. Both of them, I guess. He hates them both. And, you know, with this money, and the money that they're going to make from the film, he's going to be rich. And it looks like, oh no, there's nothing he can do, because Dad's on the other side of the room, or, you know, 2 feet away, but he's already holding someone. He's not going to be able to let go of the evil actor and tackle down the uncle in time. Which is why, luckily, the kid appears in his wrestling gear, and he takes the uncle down. Very brave of you, kid, to be able to take down that you even attack someone with a gun. Oh, but you know, it actually wasn't a real gun, so that's why the kid was okay with taking this shot, because it's like, it's a fake gun, he's not shooting anyone. And instead of yelling out, it's a fake gun, he tackles, so is mom's gun fake? Wait a minute! Did mom bring a gun and didn't realize the uncle was bringing a gun as well? Or was it the uncle's plan and he gave her the gun and she didn't know they were fake? Oh my god, this plan was not well thought out. And didn't account for fucking everyone jumping in their wrestling gear, and then more wrestling people show up to tie up the evil actors and the uncle. And so hopefully they'll get the film now and save the kid in the coma, right? I am now pissed off by this plan. Who had the guns? Who knew the guns were fake? And even if you knew they were fake, why didn't you pull them? Okay, I'm moving on before I have an aneurysm. So now we're back to the movie that the kid made. And John Kreese, walking around blind, is singing Yankee Doodle Dandy. Because, I don't know, I guess he likes the song. And then out of nowhere, we cut to an empty hospital, except for this doctor and I guess a nurse, and they're rushing a gurney down to some other room because Jimmy Walker's there having a heart attack, and they do the defibrillator thing, that clear! Except I guess the nurse didn't know that you're supposed to say clear. Because apparently that is like the important part, at least according to the doctor. Like, you can't just push the things down onto the guy's chest. You also need to yell clear, because I guess it won't work otherwise. And I think it doesn't work in Jimmy Walker's dead. And then back to John Kreese for some reason, and I don't know, none of it makes sense, and I don't think like the threads like really came together. So I think the kid not only made this film, he also made a Karate Christmas Miracle. I think he actually directed it, because if you remember from that film, if you listen to that episode before this one, that film is just a mess that makes no fucking sense. And I recommended it to my therapist to watch, and I hope she watches it, and maybe she will understand where my like mental problems come from. But anyways, as they're watching the film, like the dad's like making all these like Karate Kid jokes. So John Kreese is also playing John Kreese in this film. So the kid, I mean, the jokes that they've made watching the film would not make sense unless John Kreese, Martin Cove. I'm just so used to calling him John Kreese. So, like, the jokes that they made watching the film would not make sense unless Martin Cove, Todd Bridges, Jimmy Walker, and Michael Winslow were all playing themselves that had then been hired to do this movie. I don't know if I'm making a lick of sense at this point. I don't know. That's what these fucking, like, Christmas Miracle movies are doing to me. It'll be a Christmas Miracle if you understand whatever the fuck I'm talking about. But so they play it for the coma kid. And wouldn't you know it, he doesn't wake up. Like, whoa! This movie just took a turn I did not expect. I expected the kid to just wake up right then and there. Because, you know, the movie was so fucking funny. Because wasn't that the whole idea? Like, this film is so fucking funny. And on top of that, they've the added jokes of the dad making Karate Kid jokes while watching the movie. So, yeah, like, how did the kid not wake up from his coma? Other than, you know, reasons of science and medicine. But, you know, the coma kid's mom says, do you want some time alone with him? To the kid, not the dad. That'd be kind of creepy. Like, hey, Dad, you want to spend some time alone with my kid who's in a coma? Oh boy, would I! That would be a whole other film. But the kid's gonna be by himself with just the coma kid to maybe this will be the Christmas Miracle. Now that the kid is in the room alone with his coma friend, well, first he tells the story of how, you know, the film was stolen and they got it back and blah, blah, blah. And then about how his dad was working for the CIA and overthrew a dictator. Which I think is a funny story. That was funnier than the film. That should have woken the kid up. No, didn't wake him up either. And then the kid decides he's going to demonstrate a wrestling move on his friend, who is in a coma. Let's not forget that. The kid's like, yeah, I'm going to show you a wrestling move. I don't care that you're in a coma. This is awesome. And the coma kid wakes up, which now I'm thinking, maybe Coma Kid was just faking it the whole time. Because he thought, it's a pretty sweet deal. I'll be in a coma. And again, like, he has no IV or anything. So if he's in a coma, how is he eating? I am now starting to suspect that this kid was faking it the whole time. And then you put the wrestling move on him. He's like, no, I quit. I was making it up. Please get off me. This is very weird and awkward. And end scene. End film. So, yeah. That, you know what? I suggest you try that. Do you have a friend in a coma? So, put a wrestling move on them. See if that wakes them up. And then we get the credits. And the credits are over the kid doing wrestling tournaments. And this is real footage, because all the faces are blurred out except for the kid. And I'm just curious, like, I would think, like, oh, they're just trying to pad the runtime, because this film is actually pretty short. It's like an hour and 10 minutes or something. In fact, I think my podcast, this podcast episode, is probably longer than the film is itself. And so, I would think that they're just trying to pad runtime, but it's under the credits, so you don't really need to pad the runtime. Or, I mean, you do need to pad the runtime, but you're not really padding the runtime because it's under the credits. So why? Is it the fact that there is, like, basically no fucking wrestling in a movie called A Wrestling Christmas Miracle? Possibly. I don't know. I don't care. Why couldn't we have gotten a film about the dad overthrowing the dictator and then wrestling an elephant? Did he wrestle the elephant? We don't find out. I don't think he wrestled the elephant. It was all a sham. That was the cover, like, hey, I'm going to wrestle an elephant. That's why I'm here in the Congo. Oh, I'm really here to overthrow a dictator. I really want a wrestling match between a guy and a baby elephant. Just let's keep it somewhat fair. The guy's not going to be able to beat a regular size elephant, but baby elephant, he's got a fighting chance. I want that film. Damn it. Just the film that would have been such a fucking cool film. It would have been just as horrible, but a lot more fun than whatever I just watched. I am so disappointed. I was excited because A Karate Christmas Miracle is like just a fucking new benchmark in just horrible films. And I guess I got myself too excited and got my hopes a little too high that this could have been on the same level. So, yeah, that's the end of this week's podcast. I'll see you next time. And by see, I mean metaphorically. Because, A, this isn't a video podcast. B, even if it was, I wouldn't actually see you. So, velvetout@hotmail.com, or leave a comment if you're watching this on something that lets you leave comments. Or listening to this. I keep saying watching, but really you're listening. Because this is an audio podcast. I don't know. If you want me to start making this a video podcast where I'm like topless and shaking my tits the whole time while talking about the film, let me know. And till the next time, I will watch more bad movies for you. And I want to thank the Living Brain Dead for providing the official theme song for Velvet Owl Watches Movies So You Don't Have To. It's called Never Fuck With Catgirls, and you can get it at livingbraindead.com, which you should totally do. They are not paying me for this, so I shilled them out of my love for the music.